All right, 8th graders, this is to help you with question 2 on CR 17. It says line AB and line X intersects line XY. What must be true about any pair of opposite angles in the figure? Okay, so let's just go ahead and I'm going to redraw the picture over here. It might not be beautiful. So here's AB. That line intersects XY. So that intersects XY. Means they cross each other. Then we have some angles. We have 1 and 3. We have 2 and 4. So they're asking what must be true about opposite angles. Opposite angles, when two lines intersect, are called vertical angles. Hopefully that's a name you remember from last year. Vertical angles. So angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles, like angle 1 and angle 3. Those are opposite. Those are vertical angles. Hopefully you can see as you look at this picture, angle 1 and angle 3 have the exact same measure. Vertical angles have the same measure. They're congruent. So opposite angles when two lines intersect are congruent. Like here, if we look at angle 4, just trying to draw it so it doesn't look the same as the other. And we look at angle 2, angle 4 and angle 2 have the exact same measure. Angle 4 and angle 2 are opposite. They're opposite each other. And those are also congruent, have the same measure. We could also look at this picture and we could talk about adjacent angles, because in my mind, if they on your CR, they're probably either asking about opposite angles or adjacent angles when two lines intersect. So let's just quick talk about adjacent angles. You have to know what the name adjacent means. Adjacent means those two angles are touching. They're right next to each other. They actually share a vertex. So on this picture, if I show you a pair of adjacent angles, this would be a vertex they share. A vertex would be the starting point for the angle, and then you have some rays coming off of there. So angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. Like angle 1 and angle 2 are a pair of adjacent angles. And you have to know how many degrees are swept out with a pair of adjacent angles, angles right next to each other. How many degrees are swept out? Hopefully you can see it forms a half circle, which is 180 degrees. You can see it's a half circle. How many degrees in a half circle? 180 degrees. So adjacent angles will add up to 180. Now you have to know, as I look at all of my answers here, first of all, my two angles have the same measure. Opposite angles have the same measure. But if they asked about adjacent angles, the sum would be 180 if they had asked about adjacent angles. You should also know what complementary angles are. Complementary angles add up to 90. This is just a quick angle review. Add up to 90 degrees. And there we have supplementary angles. Hopefully you remember the definition for supplementary angles. Those angles add up to 180 degrees. I know I gave a lot more information than the question asked, but quick angle review doesn't help. Doesn't hurt. I'm not sure if it helps. I hope it does.